room is humongous. And I gotta, woo, you guys are. All right, what's up, man? Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, because I know you're gonna be walking the con, checking out all the cool stuff out there, and or waiting in line to see Kevin or something fun like that, right? I'm happy to be here, man. I really love this con. I really do, and it's the simple things I realize. And it might sound goofy, but these little simple things that they've done at this con, other cons, they don't necessarily do. Like when I got here, they gave me a free backpack. That excited me for some reason. And they had a little bag with like sanitizer and tissues and cream and stuff. But anyway, I'm having a blast here, man. I appreciate you guys again for being at. Hopefully there's no children here, right? I never know. But I usually just open it up for Q&A, and I don't usually use the moderator and stuff. Sometimes I put, oh, we have these young men here. Oh, I like to make some fuck berserker. Would you like to suck some cock berserker? Yes! All right, anyone have a question for Mewes?
Yes.
Wait, is this the lineup for the Q&A in here? Oh, right here. What are you guys doing? Oh, you line up there and go here? That's interesting. Okay. All right, young man, you are first.
Oh, thank you. I don't feel young, but I appreciate it.
Oh, all right.
I think I know the answer to this question, but the Buffalo Bill tribute in Clerks II, was that originally in the script? And if it was, did it take you any convincing at all to do that?
Yeah. So anyone wonder what he's talking about? Buffalo Bill, Clerks II. It was in the original script. You know what? It's funny how things, I feel like the way things work, and not always with Kevin, but I feel like Kevin always says himself that his movies are like his stories that he wants to tell, right? And for Clerks II, it's funny because during months and months and months before, well, I guess it was while he was writing it, you know, I don't know the actual timeline, like I never was in the room when he was writing the script or anything, but, excuse me, I do know that before he gave me the script and I got to read that scene, it's funny because throughout our years of knowing each other, we've known each other, I was 13 years old, he was 17 or 18, you know, I used to do stuff, like I used to work at the Quick Stop with him, not all the time, like Dante and Randall's based on, Dante is technically Kevin, Randall is our friend Brian Johnson, if anyone listens to Tell Him Steve Dave, comic book man, Brian Johnson, right? So Randall is really Brian Johnson, but I used to help on Sundays, and I used to put the Sunday paper together with Kevin. On Sundays, at the Quick Stop, he'd have to come and drag like 6, 7 bundles of papers from outside, inside, and he'd have to put them together, like the real estate section, coupons, you know, entertainment and all this stuff, and make a big paper, and he hated doing it alone. So I'd go on Sundays and help him. So my point is for every Sunday I used to help Kevin, and I would do silly shit like, you know, he'd be like, hey man, you're done with the papers, can you go stock the Yoo-Hoo in the milk in the cooler? So I'd go back in the cooler and I'd be stocking the milk and the Yoo-Hoos and stuff, and I'd see him coming back to the cooler. So I'd like pull my pants down and tuck my dick, and I'd be like, oh, he'd come in the door, open the door, and I'd be like, oh fuck yeah, you know, and he'd be like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing with that pussy, you know. Or I'd like put milk cartons up, and I'd bend over and I'd stick like a Yoo-Hoo cap in my ass to be like, Yoo-Hoo, 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 you know. So silly things like that. So I used to tuck all the time in front of Kevin in different scenarios, but also months and months before the script, not only had I tucked before, but I just found out when the internet started like being able to find songs and stuff, that that song Goodbye Horses was sang by Q Lazarus. I never knew that. Like I heard it in, you know, I've heard the song in, you know, Silence of the Lambs, But I didn't know who sang it, and I found out who sang it, and I burned a CD with like my favorite songs: Run DMC, King Diamond, and Q Lazarus, Goodbye Heart. And Kevin used to pick me up, and he always drives to like, hey, tomorrow morning we're gonna go record this thing, or we're gonna go on the news, or we're gonna do this. And every time I jump in his car, I'd be like, bro, I bought my CD, and I'd put the CD in, and it would be like, Goodbye Heart, you know. So I just think while he was writing, because we were listening to that song all the time, and I used to always tuck and stuff, he put the combination together. So that it wasn't the original scene, and I think that's how it sparked in his brain. And did he have to convince me? No, because I used to do it all the time, right? And especially the good thing, the only downside for me there is his wife was there. And it would be really weird if she saw my junk. I've known her forever. And so when I was tucking, you know, my three-piece is sticking out the back. So I'm like, how am I going to cover that and shit? Like, I don't want I don't want her to see it. There's a couple other people there. I might not want to see my three-piece set. So he's like, you know, don't worry, you're going to have my coat on and stuff. So that helped from that. So there was no convincing on it. I'm always down to throw a tuck in if I'm not going to get in trouble. I would do it right now if I didn't get arrested. Thank you, Ro. Thank you. I hope that answered. You, sir. What's your name?
My name is Philip.
Philip!
My question is, what was your favorite scene from the original Jay and Silent Bob?
The Strikes Back? All right, my favorite scene from Jay and Silent Bob. Ooh, Strikes Back. Let me think, man. There's some good stuff in that. You know, I really enjoyed. I mean, there was a lot of fun. Honestly, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Mallrats will always be my favorite. Mallrats was the original studio movie. Thank you. It was the first movie I did that was a studio movie, and it was so surreal to me. I'm 19 years old. They brought me out to Minnesota, and they put me up in this hotel. They gave me per diem, which I didn't even. First, they gave me this envelope, and per diem was cash they gave you. I opened it up. There's $300 cash. They're like, this is spending money for while you're here for the week. And I was like, wait, I get this every week? They're like, yeah. I was like, fuck yes. Right? But it was so surreal. I'm like, this is great. And I had so much fun. I got to meet Stan Lee and all that. So Mallrats will always be my most memorable and nostalgic and my favorite. But Jay and Bob also is very close second to that because, I still lived in Jersey. We went out and we stayed in Toluca Lake. I shared a house with Kevin. He got a house. They rented for him, and I stayed in the guest house. And we were shooting on CBS Radford Lot, and I got to meet Will Ferrell and work with him. And we got to hang out with an ape, which was amazing. But I would say one of my favorite scenes to shoot, and I will tell you a story too, one of my favorite stories ever shooting any movie, and that movie, it's in this movie. But one of my favorite scenes was when Kevin and I were in the diner, and we come out and stuff, and I was like, me and my son here, and we're talking about, that was my favorite. It was so much fun having Judd Nelson and Will Ferrell there. We shot that out at that famous rock where Star Trek was filmed, and like scenes and stuff like that. And it was so much fun. I had such a blast shooting that scene. That was one of my favorite to shoot. My favorite moment ever on a movie, one of them, is while we, in the morning, this is the routine, right? Everyone, you get the set, your call times, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever it is. You get there and you go in your trailer, you put your stuff down, you go in hair and makeup, right? And so that's what you do every morning, and everyone does that. So every morning, right then, new CD came out, and I was obsessed with it. And I would play it over and over again. It was the new Shaggy CD. So she called me in the bathroom, wasn't me. Then they called me in the shower, wasn't me, right? So I would come in, and right away the hair and makeup team would be like, all right, give me the CD, and they'd put it in and we'd play it. So everyone that came in while I was doing hair and makeup and stuff, Will would come in, Judd would come in, whoever was filming that time, Kevin would come in and get their makeup on, their hair. So most people heard this song over and over again as well, right? So we're shooting that scene, you know, we're in the we're in the pipeline. It's the like sort of spoof on The Fugitive when we run and we jump off and I'm like, oh snap. And Suzanne holds the pipe and hangs by me and Kevin, and Will Ferrell's like, oh shit, you know, and he does this and he runs and he jumps and he fucking goes out. So while we're in the pipe, you know, usually what you do, you come to set and they block a rehearsal, so you do what we're gonna do, and then the DP might be like, all right, we're gonna do this, this, and this, but there's not enough light, we're getting shadows or blah, blah, blah. So we have to put a light here and put a light here, it'll be a couple minutes. So we're sitting around waiting for them to set a couple lights up, and now I've been listening to this song all the time, so I'm just sitting there and talking, asking Kevin a couple things, and then I was like, then they call me in the shower, and then all of a sudden someone grabs my shoulder, flips me around and goes, wasn't me, it was Will Ferrell. And he starts dancing, he's like, it wasn't me. So she got me in, and he starts dancing with me in the pipe. And in my head, I'm like, holy fuck, Will Ferrell just grabbed me and started dancing with me. This is surreal, and it was, like, I'll never forget. Because again, guys, don't get me wrong, like, when I'm on movie sets and I get to, like, love Will Ferrell, I love his work, Stan Lee, you know, George Carlin, all these people that I get to work with, I geek out as much as anyone else would if they were on set that day. Like if you came to set and you were like, hey, I'm Philip, hey, what's up, Will Ferrell? And you'd be like, oh my God, that's Will Ferrell. I feel the same way. So I was geeking out. My man started dancing with me and shit. I'm like, oh shit, look at this shit. So I'll never forget that. Hope that answered that. Thank you. Hello, young man. What's your name?
My name is Jacob.
Jacob, let's give it up for Jacob. Jingleheimer Smith. His name was my name too. Sorry, I had to.
No, you're fine. You're a great singer.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Jason,
I don't really sing very well, but I can sing this. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Motherfuck, motherfuck, fuck, motherfuck, noise, noise, noise. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, noise, noise, noise. Smoking weed, drinking beers, rolling fatties, smoking blunts. Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts. Rolling blunts and $15, little man. Put that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, oh me, oh. Ooh yeah, let's give it up for that young lady right there. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I feel bad for interrupting the concert, sir. So my question to you is, I really liked Madness in the Method, the movie you directed.
Yes,
I
thank
thought
you.
It was awesome.
Well, thank you.
My question is, when are you going to direct another movie? Because you're really good at it.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Guys, if you don't know what he's talking about, man, I had the honor of directing my own movie. I didn't write the script, but I guess I could say I sort of co-wrote it. A friend of mine is a writer. He wrote it. I gave him ideas. We bounced them back and forth and stuff. And I got to direct this movie, Madness in the Method, and it's awesome. Stan Lee is in it. He made a cameo. Vinnie Jones. Danny Trejo, Casper Van Dien, a bunch of people were in it, and it was awesome. Kevin, it was fun, a lot of fun. When am I going to do Brian O'Halloran? Sorry, he was amazing in it. So it's funny because, you know, we shoot with Brian doing Clerks, and he's done a couple characters in Dogma. He was someone, and he got to play someone in different movies, right? But I never seen him like full blast, like play something else. And so he was in my movie, man, and we're rehearsing the scene where I start hitting him and he starts crying, like bawling, crying. And I was like all uncomfortable because this is the first time directing Brian, myself, 1. And for 2, I never saw Brian. I'm like, holy shit, man, we're only rehearsing and he's full on fucking, I mean, he's really, the crying shit he's got down, man. I can't do it and shit. It's like, I need like a half hour to start thinking of shit like, oh shit, my dog got ran over by a car, and then all of a sudden this thing happened, like, you know, shit that didn't happen. But Brian's very good. But anyway, if you didn't get a chance, please check it out. But I had so much fun doing it. I would love to direct one. It's not that easy though. Even for, you know, Kevin has mentioned it too. Like, you know, Kevin wanted to do Clerks 3 for years, and like he couldn't get money for it. Like no one's like, hey, we don't have $10 million to make your Clerks 3 movie, you know? So then we wind up doing Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Excuse me, right? Which hopefully you guys saw. Thank you, thank you. So we were able to get money for that, and then because that did so well on DVD and Blu-ray, because thanks to you guys who are fans and like the movies, thank you. Kevin says it all the time, like really, he sincerely says it's because of you guys, because so many people went out and bought the DVD and Blu-ray that Lionsgate is like, yo, we sold so many Blu-rays and DVD. If you have another movie that cost under $7 million or less, we're down, right? So, and the hopes are, and so then we did Clerks 3, and so hopefully this does well, and we'll get to hopefully do Mallrats too, right? That's what I want to do. But that being said, I'm just saying it wasn't easy. Like even that script, my buddy, the gentleman who wrote it, I did a movie. I went out to London. It was so much fun. I got to be in this movie called Devil's Tower. I was in a couple scenes, and after we were done, I stayed like about a week because I was like, I'm in London. I'm in Nottingham. I got to go see where fucking Robin Hood lays his head, right? Seriously, right? So I wanted to go touring around and like I love the castles and all the cool shit out there. Anyway, so he's like, we were hanging out a bunch, and he's like, man, what else do you want to do? I was like, man, I'd love to play a character like Hannibal Lecter, or something like a serial killer, or something like a rogue cop or something, right? So I was like, but I was like, I really want to direct too. Like one day I'd love to direct something. So he's like, all right, man, awesome. That sounds awesome. He's like, do you mind? He goes, I'm going to write you something, and we're going to do it. I was like, sure, whatever. And I really just thought, like, he's busy. He directed and stuff. He directed the movie I was in, and he just directed a Van Damme movie in London. He was about to do another movie. And so I didn't think anything of it. A couple months later, he called me. He's like, bro, I hope you don't mind. I wrote the script. I want to see what you think. And he emailed it to me. And I read it, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I wrote him back, well, how about instead of this, I play myself, but like a multiverse, Earth 22 J Mewes, right? And he's like, that's a good idea. Well, how about we do this then? I was like, yes. And we went back and forth. We finally got to the script that we wound up shooting, that we were filming, and I was like, this is it, man. He's like, all right, man. He goes, I'm gonna try to get money. We're gonna make this. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't hear from him for 6 months. I'm like, fuck, man. He got busy. It's over. No thing. 6 months, 7 months later, I get a call. He's like, bro. I'm like, what? He's like, dude. Not only did I get the financing and the money for it, he's like, they said you can direct the movie. I was like, fuck yes, right? And so we got a producer. We started going to pre-production and production and all that. But my point, again, long story short, I would love to direct again. And again, like him and I still talk. We've tried to come up with some ideas. I've talked to other people. I mean, it's just, hopefully, eventually it'll happen. I don't know when. Hopefully, and eventually it will happen. I'll get to at least direct one more movie because I love doing it. It was so much fun. Thank you. So yeah, check it out. Anyone out there who's like, what is he talking about? Yeah, it's a movie called, I think actually O'Halloran has some of the DVDs at his table, I believe. So check it out if you get a chance. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
AJ.
AJ. Give it up for AJ! You know what that is from? Maul Johnson. In the beginning of Mallrats. Anyway, go ahead.
So I was just curious what, if any, were the difficulties of shooting with an orangutan and acting next to an orangutan?
Oh, very good. Very good question. All right. What was it like? So working with the orangutan, it was difficult because he kept grabbing my ball. No, I'm just kidding. The truth is honestly, it was difficult because you want to play with this cuddly, well, I mean, sort of menacing, scary, but not so much, cuddly orangutan, but you can't. The trainer kept saying, like, do not give him attention, do not play with them, only if it's in the scene, like, Suzanne, don't do the whatever, because they were trained to look at you like a prop, like a cardboard cutout prop, and then they act next to you, and they want you to, the trainer goes, okay, come here, come forward, grab, reach up for this, but they're like, if you start playing with them, he's gonna say, fuck you, I'm gonna play with this guy, this is my friend. So it was so hard because we'd stand with them and hang out with them and we couldn't play with him. We had to ignore him like he wasn't even there, right? The other interesting thing, I remember one day they came to set to we're like, okay, we're about to shoot, man. Where is he? They're like, we need to let everyone know, I guess they had like some issue. He got a little sketchy and stuff. I didn't know they can smell when women are on their difficulties thing. So everyone, they're like, any woman on your thing, you gotta get out of here and shit. We're like, holy shit. Who knew, right? So you had to be aware of all these things. But the cool thing was, so it wasn't fun while we were filming. The difficulties, you know, there's times where Kevin wanted him to do something specific, and it would do something close, but not exactly that, so we'd have to try again, and we'd try again, you know, and people are waiting and all that. But again, you gotta understand it's orangutan. The cool thing was at the very end, because we were done, we got to play with it, right? And it was very cool, man. It was cool, like we had Kevin hopping on Kevin's back, and then it would like slap you, like on a soft, gently, like pat and stuff. It was very cool, man. But I do know that we've spoken, I don't remember what movie we did last that we worked with some of the same trainers. They said after they hit 2 years old, that's it. Like they had that one, Suzanne, or I forget the real name of that orangutan. It doesn't work anymore because it got too old. And as soon as they get too old, they're like, fuck you, right? And it's so much so that I believe it bit a trainer's finger off, right? It got to the point where the trainer was like, you better move, and it was like, fucking bit its finger off, pulled it out, stuck in his own ass and shit. But yeah, so they had to retire it and stuff, so. But I hope that answered your questions, AJ. Should I just spit all over? Are you next?
Yeah.
What is your name, young lady?
My name's Amanda.
Say it, give it up for Amanda. What's up, Amanda?
Hey, so my question, like, I imagine there was a lot of improv between Clerks, like both Clerks and the Jay and Silent Bob's movies. What was like your favorite improv moment, if you can remember?
Wow, that's a toughie. Now, but let me tell you this, there was no improving in Clerks. This is a true story. So when we filmed Clerks, there was no one improved. When Kevin first started making movies, and again, of course, he could tell this story himself better, but he really didn't want anyone ad-libbing because in his head it was like, hey, you're here acting and saying my words that I wrote, my story, my words, so why are you going to change it up and put in your own words, right? So he was very specific. Clerks, no one ad-libbed. Mallrats, no one ad-libbed. Chasing Amy, no one ad-libbed. Ben tried to. He tells a funny story. I wasn't there, which is a bummer. So on Chasing Amy, when Ben and Joey Lauren Adams is on the swing, and they're talking about the uncomfortable place, and she's saying, you know, we fist when we if we really want to be uncomfortable or something like that. And so I guess Kevin had written something where Ben says like, well, what do you do when you don't want to do that? And I forget what the real line is, but Ben was like, hey, I want to do another take. And he did another take, and he said, well, what don't you do for when you don't want to do an uncomfortable thing or whatever? He goes, hit him upside the head with a bat. And he goes, that was good, right, Kev? That was good. And Kevin was like, what? Cut? He's like, what the fuck, dude? I didn't write that. And he goes, I know, I'm throwing in some of my own business. And Kevin was like, no, fucking you go write your own script, right? And then you fucking go see what happens. You use my words. And then Kevin always says, punchline is Ben wrote his own script and won an Oscar, right? Good Will Hunting. So, but seriously though, and again, Kevin tells the story better. He was there, but it's true. Kevin really was specific. He didn't want anyone ad-libbing. Chasing Amy, Dogma, he got a little bit less, so like, because now we had Chris Rock on there. Chris threw in a little bit of business and that. So we started like letting, people would start ad-libbing a little bit, like a word here, a word there. Same with me, he started letting me ad-lib, but a lot of times he'd be like, wait, next take, he's like, instead of you saying that, and if you don't want to say what I wrote, like shit, I don't want you to say fuck, but how about you say like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, okay, that's good, that one's a good one. So he loosened up a little bit on Dogma. And then when we got to, I don't remember when he really cut back, was Zach and Mary Make a Porno. Because Seth Rogen and Craig Roberts said, where you going, buddy, Christ? The show's gonna get better, I promise. You know, when we did Zach and Mary Make a Porno, we had Seth Rogen and Craig Robertson, and they just started riffing, ad-libbing left and right. And Kevin just said that what they were saying, a lot of the times, you know, 3 out of the 5 times would be funnier than what he even wrote, he felt. So he let loose and he didn't care as much. And so then he started being open to the idea. So, that being, again, there was not a lot of ad-libbing up to like frickin', you know, Zach and Mary, Zach, Jay and Bob Strike Back. There was a little bit. What was my favorite? I mean, I wish I could remember. I honestly can't think of something where I'm like, oh my gosh, Kevin wrote blah, 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 and I said this, and it works so much better, right? It's a great question, and no one's ever asked me that. So, I'm gonna think about it, and eventually, I'll have an answer for you in the future. But I hope the other stuff was good information for that, because again, if everyone thought Clerks, Mallrats, and all that was ad-libbing and ad-libbing, there was none of that. So that, I hope, gave you a little bit of, yeah, exactly. Go chew on that, if you will, for a bit. And I'll think of something. Thank you so much. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Ryan.
Hello, Ryan. Give it up for Ryan.
So this question has been burning inside me for years.
Ooh, where? Here?
In my
Here? I'm
my
just
mind.
kidding.
I'm not like that. All right. So Jay and Silent Bob have a very memorable cameo in Scream 3. I know it's Jay and Silent Bob because you refer to Silent Bob by name. So how did that happen? And does it mean that the Scream movies are part of the Askew-niverse?
Dude, I wish Kevin was here to answer that. Because
I'll try to ask him tonight.
Please do, yeah, please do. Because honestly, I don't know how it came about. Again, I think it was straight up like, I believe that the agent involved with some of the, the agent that's Kevin's agent, writing, directing agent from Endeavor, I believe it is, was working with some of the people from there, and they were like, hey, we would love to have these guys in as a cameo. I think it was just as simple as the director of Scream was like, hey, I want Jay and Bob in line for this scene, I believe, but Kevin would know better. I just was like, I got a call, and he's like, we're going to be in this movie Scream, we're doing a quick cameo. I'm like, I'm in, right? And that was it. That's all I knew, for real. As it is the same universe, I want to say yes. You know what I mean? I feel like the way it was done, and like, when we do Jay and Bob, right? We're running through the movie sets, right? And Strikes Back, and we get to the one scene, and they're filming Scream, and yeah. So I would say, yeah, it's in the same universe. Yeah, thank you. That's a good question, my man. Thank you. But try to ask Kevin about how it happened, right? But I believe I'm right about the agents just being like, hey, get ahead, man.
What's up, man? I'm Matt.
Matt, give it up for Matt! Matt. Sorry, let me ask, I have a question. Who's in here after me?
Terry Ellis.
Sorry, it's too many people answered. One person.
Carrie Elways.
Thank you. I was only wondering because I'm seeing it starting to fill up a lot. I was like, this can't all be for me. When I'm ending. Yeah, sorry, ask your question.
You're good. So clearly there's not much that you won't do. However, was at any point when Kevin was like, Jay, I need you to do this, that you were like, Kevin, what the hell is the matter with you? I'm not doing that.
Good question. Because I was going to answer this sort of earlier when the gentleman asked about the tuck. So when we were in Zack and Miri, and when I got to, I read the whole script, right? And when we got to the one scene in Zack and Miri, and I don't know if people haven't seen Zack and Miri, there's a scene where Seth Rogen's character is like pouring his heart out to his lady. She's sitting in there crying and stuff, and I'm in the bedroom. So in the script it says Lester comes walking out and he's butt naked, right? And he just walks out naked, walks past Seth, the character, and says, "What's up?" And I'm like, all right. And I just assumed, most movies, when they shoot a scene like that, like either someone's carrying a surfboard, right, or they walk by like some fucking plants and stuff, and you see that, or there's a fucking table with fruit baskets and shit, and they just happen to be lined up. Not on purpose, but it just happens to block it. So I assumed I was going to be walking by, and maybe I walked by and it was like, it was only from the head waist up, or if they got lower, it'd be me walking past the table. And I remember it was like probably the night before. I didn't even think about that scene really. I was just thinking, I always make sure, like when I know that I usually think about what's going to be the next day. All right, I'm in scene, this scene. Oh my gosh, I have a lot of dialogue for these two scenes. This scene, there's not a lot of dialogue. And so on set, I'll remember those 2 lines, you know. But this is like a monologue, so let me go through this and I'll try to memorize it that night and stuff. So I didn't even think about that scene until it got too close. And so I remember the night before, I go, Kev, man, it was maybe 2 days before even. I go, that scene's coming up right here. And I said, I hadn't asked you before, it's been a few weeks, what is the plan? Like, am I gonna come out and there's gonna be a table with a fucking watermelon on it, a big plant? Like, what's the gag? What's the funny gag? And he's like, you know what, I've been thinking about it, and I think you just come out and you're gonna be butt naked, wiener swinging and shit. I was like, no way, bro. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm serious. I was like, you're kidding, right? I'm like, for real though, what are we gonna use? I wanna know, is it gonna be funny or what? He's like, dude, no, he's like, I'm serious. There's a bunch of movies. I can't remember what movies came out. There's at least 2 movies that came out that year, and a couple dudes showed their wiener, and it sort of went over okay, right? Like, I guess it was like, no one was like, holy shit, the movie was great, but there was a fence of wiener flying around or anything. So Kevin's like, I think it'll work, man. I think it'll be funny and stuff. So I'm like, all right, man, I don't know. And then I was like, I don't know if I can do it. He's like, well, why not? And I was like, look, my niece, well, it's really my cousin, as long as, you know, I have one of those nieces that are really my blood cousin, but her mom raised me, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, she brings her kids, and her kids are, at that age, was 9 and like 7. You know, even though they probably shouldn't be seeing and hearing the other things, I ain't gonna tell her how to raise her kids. But it's like, if they want to hear cuss words and shit, that's fine if she lets them. But I was like, they're gonna see my wiener. Not to mention, my wife at the time was pretty new. We've just been together like 3 years, and her mother-in-law was coming. My mother-in-law was coming. Her godmother, who I've gotten close with, like, her family's coming, and a couple of her girlfriends. So I'm like, her girlfriends are gonna see my wiener, my mother-in-law's gonna see my wiener. I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this, bro. He's like, come on, dude, it'll be fine. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, can you do me this? So we did 1 take. All I asked him is, I said, let me do 1 take where I come out and I'm like scratching and covering it up, right? So I was like, I wanna make sure we have that, because I don't want it to just be because you wanna see my wiener, Kevin, right? And want to see if I'll do it. In my head, I felt like he was doing it just to be like, I just want to see if you'll do it. You know what I mean? And it's not going to work with it. People are going to be like, oh God, why? I said, but if it works, like if it comes out and I'm like, oh shit, man, like perfect timing, it's funny, there's wieners and balls flying around, then fine, you know, we're good to go. So he let me do 1 scene with that. But again, I was very hesitant, didn't want to do it. We talked about it. I remember calling my wife up and saying, well, what do you think? Are you okay with your friends seeing my wiener and how luscious and beautiful it is? Next time I look at it, they're all gonna be staring at me and shit, you know? And she's like, none of my friends are gonna go, well, see your fucking movie. I was like, fair enough, fair enough. So it was, I really was hesitant. And I did do a scene where I covered it. And then we did a scene where I'm just walking and chilling, right? But when we watched the edited pieces together, it was perfect, because it is where it's a serious moment where Seth Rogen's like, man, I'm sorry, I want you back, baby. And he's pouring his heart out, pouring her heart out. And it's a serious moment. And then I come walking by like, what's up, bro? And my wiener's just flying around a little bit and shit. But my favorite part is what I came up with in that scene is after I walk by and I do that, I go to the refrigerator and I think he asks her, like, is he naked? And, you know, is Lester naked or whatever? And she's like, I don't know, he slept over. And he looks over at me in the fridge and I'm drinking orange juice. So Kevin just told me to drink the orange juice and that's it, right? And then the camera like goes from Seth over to me and it's supposed to be my butt and that's it, right? So while he's like, all right, camera, like he would be like, there's cameras on you now. So as he did that on purpose, I dropped the orange juice cap and I went, oops, and I picked it up, right? And you can see the silhouette of my ball bag just hanging, right? And I hear Kevin start cracking up and shit. And he goes, cut. And he has to cut because he laughed on the scene. But also because he's like, yo, he tells the grips, he's like, is there a DP too? He's like, is there any way you could put like a light in there? Because we could sort of see the shadow of the silhouette, but not enough. It's almost too dark. He's like, put a light in there so the light shines through and we could just see a nice silhouette of Jay's ball bag and shit, right? And so he went in, set up a light and shit, and we did it again, and this time it was like perfect. I dropped the cat, and you could just see it and stuff. So I got to throw in, and then, you know what? That answers my ad lib. Are you still here? My best ad lib ever was when I dropped the cap and showed my ball bag. Let's go. Thank you, thank you. Hello, what's your name, youngster?
My name's Stryker.
What is it, Troy?
Stryker.
Stryker?
Yeah, man.
That's your real name?
Yeah, dude.
Give it up for Stryker! What's up, man? It's so funny because I'm wondering if like half the room in the back have no idea who I am, and it's like, this dude's talking about his ball bag. This ain't who we're here to see, the ball bag.
I gotta say everything.
Sorry, what's your question, young man?
My question is, I heard that you were on The Flash. I haven't really seen much of it, but I heard you were wanting to be on it because you wanted to see all the cities. I'm wondering which of the DC cities that you went to was your favorite, if you got to see them.
Sorry, wait, I'm not sure. So wait, you didn't see the, you don't watch all The Flash?
No, I'm not really a big fan of the CW shows.
None of them? Supergirl, Arrow?
I'm more a fan of the animated.
You have failed this fucking Comic-Con, Stryker. Right? You're like, there's shit. No, I was on The Flash. Yes, it was awesome. I got to be on The Flash twice, which was awesome for me. I got to come out once. I was just a guy on a date, and I said, and I was at Big Belly Burger. And then later on, Kevin and I got to be security guards for Star Labs. And then I got to be in Supergirl, which was awesome. It was an episode that Melissa was directing her episode, and she asked me to come on, which I thought was so nice, because not only did I get to be on Supergirl, but Supergirl is the one who asked me to be part of it. So I was like, fuck yes. So wait, but I didn't get to hear your question. You're asking me which one was my favorite to be on? What?
Yeah, I heard you went down there because you wanted to see like all the DC cities in the universe and all that.
Oh,
what was
yes.
your favorite?
Oh my gosh, yes. So you're saying when I was on set, in the set, that's awesome. Yes, I get it. So when I went to the studio, it blew my mind because I'm a big fan of all the shows. I've watched them all, and I got to walk through the sets, you know, and I got to see jitters, right? And then I got to go in there and fucking get some free coffee and shit. And then Flash came in and saved me. No, but again, it was cool because I got to see that. I got to see, is when they were building the machine when he was trying to get his Speed Force back, and then I got to see some of the other sets. I feel like at the time, for me, the Arrow sets were really cool because I got to go in the Arrow Cave and see all that. But also, I can never pronounce it, where the Lazarus Pit is. Man to depart? No? Anyway, I got to see that, and that was really cool. My favorite, though, I guess, I got to see more of The Flash, I would say. So that would be my favorite, because I got to walk around almost every part of that. But I got to see a lot of the other stuff. I mean, they're all really cool, to be honest. To be in there and stuff, something you watch weekly and see and be part of really be into the shows and watch from the beginning and like see where they always are filming these scenes in, in Star Labs, and they're on the computers, and he's like, come on, Barry, run, he's at, the corner of 3rd and 5th, and they have those cool computer setups. It was surreal, it was really cool, but I ran around, I was taking pictures, I got inside, they have the cells for the metahumans they made from the old reactor in there. So I got to get inside of one of them and pretend I was fucking a superhuman and shit, metahuman, and they couldn't break me out. And I took a bunch of pictures. But I would say the Flash set I got to see more of that, so that's why I'm picking that. If I got to see a lot of Supergirl set and I got to see a lot of the Arrow set, it'd be tough to choose because they're all amazing to me. I enjoy all of them sincerely. But we'll go with Flash for me to answer your question. Thank you, sir. All right, I think I have 2 minutes left, so I'm assuming this will probably be my last. So yeah, what's your name?
I'm Kylie.
Kylie, nice to meet you. Give it up for Kylie.
It's very nice to meet you. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
So I was wondering, what was it like working with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher on set?
Thank you. All right, she asked, if anyone didn't know, she asked what it was like working with Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher. Amazing, surreal. It really, again, like I said, I said in the answer, I answered earlier one of the questions. Like it really is for me. It's still to this day. Like when I go in the green room in the back, it's still surreal to me when I'm like walking through. I don't hang out in the back too much because like I'll walk in, I'll be like, Ron Perlman's right there. Oh shit. Oh, there's fucking Amell, Stephen Amell, and like everyone like people I watch on TV all the time. I still get giddy and like butterflies. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's fucking Crowley from Supernatural. Fuck yeah, bro. It's amazing. Excuse me. I fucking lost my train of thought there because I was saying. So working with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher though, like not only did I get to like meet Mark, which was awesome in itself, and like oh my gosh, I've watched this dude forever. I got to like, it's crazy to me, it was surreal to me to not only get to see him, but who would ever think, like, unless you're gonna be in an actual Star Wars movie, who's gonna get the fucking bond saber with the man, right? Or lightsaber, whatever. Again, they were sticks really, so I got the sword fight with the dude. And it was surreal, man. Again, it's like, every time we came in, we started doing some moves and stuff, like I got butterflies and it was amazing. And then with Carrie, we got to drive in the car and I got to actually like chat with her, because we'd be sitting in there, and sometimes when you're on set and you're working with someone, you come to set and like you're in a scene with them, and they might be in the corner going over their dialogue, and they'll come up and they're like, hey, how you doing this morning? I'm good, and you might see them in the hair and makeup or whatever, but you don't always get to talk to them because they're focused. I don't want to be like, hey man, how was your day? What are you doing today? And they're trying to memorize their dialogue, so I always try to feel it out. So the cool thing, I mention that because like, that's sort of how it was with Mark, because Mark would be training with the swords, then he'd get in his costume and we'd be on set and we had to like, okay, listen to the stunt guys, what are we gonna do? So there wasn't a whole lot of like chit-chatting that much, but with Carrie we were in the car, right? So we drive, we say our dialogue, and then we'd sit there and they'd be like, all right, we're gonna try again, we're gonna do this, we're gonna put another light in the car and stuff. So I got to chat with her a bunch and she was just so nice and stuff. And Kevin tells the funniest story from his perspective. Of course it was funnier, but before I go, I'll tell, like, we were done filming, and I had been a little, I had gone out. Like, when we were shooting Jay and Bob, I had stopped using, I don't know if anyone knows, but I have 12 years, 2 months, and a week sober today. Thank you. So when we filmed that though, I stopped using drugs and I was doing well, but I was drinking. I was like, I can drink as long as I don't use drugs. That's what really gets me in trouble. So I was drinking a lot at night, and I just smelled like booze was coming off of me. If you guys notice, Jay and Bob, I'm a little bit rounder in the face than any of the other movies or even now, because it was all water weight. Like I was drinking every night and I'd go out to the clubs like I went out like all the time and I got a bunch of water weight. Anyway, the point is that afterwards, and I was being a little obnoxious in the car with Carrie. I was, being silly and stuff, but it was amazing. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here with, Princess Leia and it's Carrie Fisher and stuff. And we were doing our dialogue, and then I would make some jokes and stuff. But afterwards, I went to my trailer, and she comes and knocks on the door, and she's like, hey, come take a walk with me. And then she took a walk with me and she was chatting with me about like, hey, I can smell the booze on you, and you seem like you're a little hungover and like your eyes are bloodshot and stuff. She's like, I just want to know you. I've been doing this for years, and like gave me this really sweet pep talk, and it was amazing. But what's so awesome is I had this moment with her and I'll never forget it. But what's so funny is Kevin says he remembers like they're ready to do another scene, and he was looking for me and her, and he goes, hey, has anyone seen Jason and Carrie? Where are they? We're ready to shoot another thing. And he said he looked down and me and her are just walking in this field, right? And he's like, what the fuck would Jason and Carrie be talking about out there, right? And everyone around's like, I don't know, what's going on? He's like, I hope she's not mad at him or something. And then like later I told him of like what she said, but it was really sweet. So it was, again, it's surreal. It was surreal then. It still is now. I got to work with them, and it's anyway. Like again, I said earlier, doing scenes with Chris Rock and George Carlin, Alan Rickman. Like who would have thunk? Like I did. Even after Clerks, I put roofs on houses and delivered pizza. We did Mallrats. I still did construction, delivered pizza. Then we did Chasing Amy. I did this little other indie movie. It wasn't until Dogma, all the way up to Dogma, I delivered pizza and did construction 9 to 5. And it wasn't something I planned on doing, movies, stand-up comedy, Comic-Cons, or anything, So every day, I still, 28 years later, it's still surreal to me that all these people are here. They're not really all here for me, but all these people are here for me. Thank you guys very, very much. Anyone here for me? I'm gonna go back to my table. Come say hi, come get a selfie. Stoochie Moochies and Stooch to the Nooch!
Everyone, please give a huge round of applause for Jason! Jason, we got a song for you. Do you recognize this song?